Unpack your knives and stay. Yes, stay. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Top Chef RHAPup. I'm Haley Strong. I'm here on a restaurant love episode with bestie LaTonya Starks. Hi, LaTonya. What's up?
Hi, Haley. I could not be happier than to be spending time with the two of you, two of my favorite people in the world.
Even though you just spent your evening hanging out with all the other RHAP people. But you still come back to us. That's so nice. Yeah. I might actually cry.
Yeah, I still come back to you. I'll talk more on this later, but thank you to everyone that came up and said hi during the event or got a picture. We love you so much, and thank you for listening. I got so many just glowing remarks from people about this podcast and our trio. So that really, I was not expecting it, but I definitely needed that. That was the best self-esteem boost I've had in quite a while.
Curt Clark, I'm going to bring you in because I have a question. And you know what? This should have been on last week's episode, but I just thought of it now. If we were the Applebee's appetizer platter, what would each one of us be?
What's in the Applebee's?
That's the thing is if you, gun to my head, if you had me like sort into, is this an Applebee's appetizer or a TGI Fridays appetizer, I would fail and you would probably shoot me in the head 3 times at least, because it would just be 50-50. I think like there's like these like boneless wings. We'll go back there. I think there's like these boneless bourbon wings. Given that Applebee's has a bourbon burger, maybe it's Applebee's that also has the boneless bourbon wings. But for some reason, I associate that with Fridays.
Yeah, the classic combo contains all of the apps you love: boneless wings, spinach and artichoke dip, chicken quesadilla, and mozzarella sticks.
So I guess I could pull up the website like I'm guessing you just did.
Yes.
I can't do. I feel like maybe I'm the spinach artichoke dip.
I think that's fair.
Sure.
I can't. I saw this meme about mozzarella sticks. Where it was like someone was like, "Hey, you want these 6 sticks of string cheese? Are you kidding? What if I bread them and dipped them in marinara sauce? Oh yeah, and then yes, please." But I can't do the mozzarella sticks, so that cannot be me.
Okay.
I think I'm mozzarella sticks.
You're mozzarella sticks?
I think so.
Okay. I must be chicken quesadilla.
I think that sounds right. And okay. I think Kurt's actually the boneless wings.
That's fair, because I am kind of low key or high key obsessed with boneless wings.
No,
I'll own it.
Not to be confused with the wingless bones, which I get every chance I get.
I don't like that. That's icky.
That's icky. Oh.
So I have to be honest with the audience, and that's I was on my way home from an event, so ready to podcast with my besties at 7:30 on the dot EST. And then I realized, and now keep in mind, this was 6:45 EST. I realized that I had not watched today's episode or last night's episode yet. Didn't occur to me for a single second. I had been planning watching on doing the podcast all day. Been like, got a podcast at 7:30, et cetera, et cetera. It hit me that I had not watched this episode. And we considered doing it like Last Chance Kitchen style. What's it called? Last Chance Kitchen?
Yes,
we were like, yeah. I don't watch it. You guys just tell me what happened. But, we decided that I should actually watch this episode. So don't worry, audience. I have watched this episode. Well, it's so fresh in my brain.
Maybe we'll have to do that with intentionality at some point.
Yes, because that sounds fun as hell.
And I think you'll still have to read the dishes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously. But it was a good episode. I thought this was like a kind of low-key restaurant wars. Like, it didn't feel like there was any major disasters. I was nervous for a lot of people throughout the episode. But like I felt like as we got to the end, like I felt like it was maybe obvious who won, but there were some flaws that were like, well, maybe it wasn't. But I felt like Team Channel, as soon as their team got picked, it was very much like, congratulations, Team Channel.
The only doubt I had in my mind about Team Channel, and we were, I think, just talking about it. It was either with Owen or Jim about you can't just do, we're global. And
I was so mad. I was
The whole
so
world,
angry.
every part of it and its cuisine. That is what we are.
But they're
But,
like, we're like, no, let's limit it this time, guys. We're not doing global. We're doing in the water. I don't know if you know, we're doing the water, not the land part, the water part. So we're cutting out half the earth, half the globe gone, just water.
And I think a lot of that falls to Michelle talking Dan off the ledge on that one. Like, I think Dan was the main proponent for like, let's just all do our thing. I mean, that's like, and I was really hopeful. Like, you had 2 Korean chefs and 2 Mexican chefs, and actually, like, Korean Mexican food is like one of my favorite blends. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I love that fusion, and I was like, oh, this is actually they can do the we're going to make food from where we're from, but like try to merge it, and it just fell short, unfortunately. Yeah. And I was like, I knew that team was going to lose because 3 of the 4 people were on my draft team. So,
see, I was in a very interesting state when I watched this episode of television. I believe it was 2 a.m. at this point.
There's a 2 in the a.m.
I know, and I saw it for the first time in a very long time this morning. I had just gotten back from the RHAP event, and I was like, all right, let's do this. Let's wind down with a little tavern style pizza that you ordered in the Uber on the way home, and watch some Top Chef. So
you get it delivered to the Uber, or you like meet it at home?
It technically got delivered to the Uber, essentially because I left my card at the bar and I had to go back and get it. So as the Uber was pulling up, the DoorDash had just gotten there like 3 minutes ago. So it was very good timing. He agreed to wait for me. So
was it your most important card?
Yes.
Because the way I would just be like, well, I guess I'll never see that card again. Like I was really I had left the office last week. I only go into the office like once or twice a month. I was in the parking lot and I realized I forgot my mouse in the office, and I went, not going back for that. I guess that mouse is dead to me.
Yeah, that's when you like order one for $16 on Amazon. It's just you get it in 1 to 2 days. And
I found one in my drawer. The scroll doesn't work on it, but you know what? It's okay. I didn't have to walk the 45 steps back into the office. Be like, hey, everyone, I forgot my mouse.
This was like as lucky as things could have gone. I discovered right as we were arriving at my house, the driver was just like, put in the address and then we'll go right back. So we just turned around, went right back. I got back. My pizza was waiting for me. No one had taken it. And I watched this episode and I'm on the edge of my seat the entire time because I can't read the edit in any way, shape, or form. I was just very, very concerned for the fact that front of the house stuff with Michelle could be conceived a certain way. And I had no idea who was going to win because there were so many similar issues that each restaurant had that I was just like, oh, wow. At the end, it played really well for me. Yeah.
Going into the cook, I was most worried about Dan because he was the one to be like, I'm going to do a beet tartare. And everyone else is like, this. And Dan's dish didn't really fit. But he was also like, the theme is not fitting. And everyone was like, and I was like,
no.
And then I'm glad that Michelle talked him off the ledge a little bit. And I'm glad that Dan was able to be like, yeah, you're right. Why don't I do this instead? And then when they didn't have trout, he said, yeah, that's fine. Why don't I do this instead? I love Dan. I'm a Dan stan.
Dan stan.
Yeah. I mean, why? What's not to love? Honestly,
truly.
It is also both great in terms of representation, but also you really feel for him because it's at the point of the competition where he started bringing out his cane and needing to use that and rest on it more. So you can I've been wondering about with what we'll talk about later, just about the state of everyone, how they're holding up. Like, I've been concerned about him for obvious reasons. I've been concerned about Sue in the main competition because he hasn't been sleeping. So I'm just wondering how much like environmental factors are playing a part in everybody's gameplay right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought Curt was going to say something. Anyway.
I just, yeah, that was my.
Yeah.
So our first team, we have Laura, Kalina, Sue, and Manny. Their restaurant is Dos by Dul. It's a Mexican Asian concept, so 2 in Spanish and then 2 in Korean, I believe. And as soon as I heard this, I was like, yes, they like get it. They get what's happening.
Mhm.
I thought their menu sounded incredible. Like if it was one of those years where you had to like stand there and pick between the 2 menus, I really do think I'd be choosing this one. Because it was so cohesive. It was so like it just made sense to me. I am angry, however, that they didn't do dessert. I get mad when they don't do dessert on Restaurant Wars. It's a restaurant.
I don't blame them.
It's not your local fish and chips stand. It's a restaurant.
I don't blame them.
I don't blame them, but I'm mad.
Yeah, that part I get you. It's just, you don't want to go home because you made a crappy dessert in Restaurant Wars.
Fair. But if I were the judges who went to that restaurant second, I would be pulling out a pack of Twizzlers out of my purse.
Okay, Jeff.
Okay, Jeff. Jinx. But here's the thing. It's like, because they had to do 3 courses and 2 dishes for each course, I don't like the idea of 1/3 of their dishes, like two of the 6 dishes needing to be desserts. I almost would have rather that they
should have been a 4-course. Yeah,
a
absolutely.
4-course or a 5-course.
Yeah,
and then
I agree. 4-course.
Yeah, because I don't think they would have gotten away with, well, here's our 3rd course. There's a dessert, and then there's like a, pre-dessert. We saw that earlier. It just pissed Tom off. Do another pre-dessert.
The drinks also.
And what was Channel doing? They flexing and doing 3-second courses.
I'm gonna get there, but I have like a mind about that. But
You have a mind.
I have a mind about that specific item.
That one thing.
Nothing else is this noggin working for.
Yeah.
I'm just upset we did not circle back to the fact that the opening drinks for Channel were different colors. Like there was no explanation about that. Like, did 2 people get the cocktail and 2 people got the water, or was it just really?
This is my theory, and this is because I come from a wine background. So oftentimes, if you have a bottle of wine, especially one that's like on lees or whatever, like it has the yeast still in it, when you pour it out, the person who gets the first glass and the person who gets the last glass of that bottle are getting different wines because the sediment is staying. So that's what I think happened here, is just that because it looked like there was kind of like a soda element to it. So I think whoever got the top got more soda, where whoever got the bottom got more tea. That's my theory about that.
LaTonya, have you ever been to Aviary in Chicago? I can't remember if we talked about this.
I have not, but I've always wanted to go.
So I went there a couple years ago, and their thing is they have like a drinking menu. So it's like a cocktail tasting menu that they pair with small bites. And one of the things that's part of that is this cocktail that the way that the vessel for it is structured is like every glass is going to taste slightly different. So it's kind of the same idea. There's a lot of components to it. When you pour it out, it filters some of the things out, and the longer it sits and the more you get to the bottom, the taste profile completely changes from your first sip to your last sip, because it has like maybe 3 or 4 servings per person in this vessel. So that could very well be. It just I was like I kind of just wanted an answer to the mystery.
Do you think that Rob would pay for us to go wine tasting?
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay.
Hey, you don't have to ask Rob to pay to come wine tasting. Just come over. We can do wine tasting.
Wonderful.
You could just.
We've got wine tasting at home.
We do. We do have wine tasting at home when it comes to me.
Let's have a Canada meetup.
Yes.
Hello.
Let's do it.
I am lucky enough to live in one of the major wine regions. Although we're often forgotten about on a global scale, but that is a different conversation for a completely different podcast. Anyway.
Going back to their concept, and I think I even so there was a place that was it was just down the street from the Strings on Belmont, LaTonya. It's now no longer there. It closed down quite a while ago, like 2017. But there was a place there called La Taqueria, and it was a Mexican Korean fusion place, and it was my favorite. Like the staff there knew me by name, like they knew what my order was. It was like one of those places. And it was a counter order thing. And I would talk to like the guy who owned it. His mom was like working in the kitchen, and but even I think when Owen was here last week, I mentioned like the dinner I had gotten was a bibimbap burrito. And so like the joy of a Mexican Korean fusion just permeates my soul.
It spoke to you, yeah. Here's another side conversation. I see a lot of discourse on the internet about how if you go into a restaurant and the server, the counter person or whatever knows your order, are you flattered or are you horrified? And like, are you embarrassed and never going back again? Because I, as a server, would like memorize a lot of people's orders to the point where they'd come in, I'd be like, okay, so these are the drinks you're getting. This is your appetizer. This is your dinner. This is your dessert.
For me, I think if part of that exchange between you and the staff is not just the order taking, then it would feel weird. But because like in this case, at this one place, it's like, while I was waiting for my order, I would talk to them. There's like, how's your day? Like, so like you got to know them. They knew you by name. If in that instance where we clearly have gotten to know each other over time, it doesn't feel weird to me. If it's different servers every time I go in, or different like people taking the order, and there's no words exchanged other than the order, and I walk up and they're like, 2 of these sushi rolls, then I would feel weird. But when there's a
rapport,
exactly. I think when there's a rapport that knowledge is wrapped in, I find it lovely.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like people are really doing their job well. It makes me happy because I like to see people happy and enjoying doing what they like. So that's a sign that like they're invested, they're in this, and I'm going to get to reap the benefits of it because I get yummy food.
Yeah, because I think also if you get the sense that they're just doing it to tick the box and actually get the order in faster and don't really give a shit about you, then it doesn't feel great.
That's fair enough. So let's get into the first restaurant, Dose by Jewel. I thought it was nice that they split the judges panel up to go to 2 restaurants so they could both get like the full experience to compare. And I thought that was very smart, and I would like to see them do that in the future.
They do usually do that. I think there usually is like a swap in the.
I don't think they do it like as often.
Okay.
Like and especially with the last couple of seasons, I feel like where it's just been, like kind of like a bit of a smaller panel, or like once in a while they'll do like we had a secret diner in like on the opposite of us.
This feel. I thought for a couple seasons that like their regular approach was going to be the chef's table sort of thing, because it feels like they've done that for a couple seasons in a row now, starting with the COVID season. And I was a little bit disappointed they didn't do that. They didn't seem to be as much time and I think even like last season they had talk to these 2 people and they'll get your restaurant designed for you. You focus on the food. That wasn't the case this season, and there wasn't enough. Like apart from. And thank you, Gail, for teaching me how to say Laura's name.
Oh my gosh, that stood out to me too. I was just like, oh my gosh, Gail, Laura.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Like other than like they're like specifically calling out her design acumen, I didn't really give a shit about the restaurant designs.
Which is why I'm glad that they did it the way they did this season, because normally not all the time, but there's been so many restaurant wars where we have to like go see them like design their concept and like shop for all of the stuff that you need to actually like eat off of. And I'm just like, this is boring. Like I don't care about
I love that stuff.
Decor comes to be.
I love the like We're at Pier 1. We have $500 to spend. Let's get a tall giraffe. Like,
I also think that it like the way they did it was like inefficient in terms of how they were using the chefs. So like sometimes like they had to actually like have the chefs out there with the waitstaff like putting shit together and setting everything up. It seems like that went a lot more smoothly this time.
yeah. But it is funny that you bring it up because Ethan mentioned to me, he's like, remember a few years ago when they just like painted a beautiful mural on the wall in 24 hours, and now they're just like, you're going to all party supply store with like a sign from the 1980s and you're just gonna pick your napkins and that's it.
It felt a little Simsy to me in terms of like, here's your table design, here's your chair design. Like they just I just remember there was one shot of like there was a row of chairs and it's like, and there's 6 kinds.
I get that. But I love The Sims.
I know you love The Sims. When I thought Sims, I said, I wonder if Haley is probably liking this one.
Oh, I love that shit. I love it. I can't help myself. So Dose by Duel, the Mexican Asian concept. The first course we had Lara's beef tartare with cilantro green goddess dressing, gochujang, and a rice cracker, and Kalina's melon indigenous crab, aguachile, pickled bamboo, and furikake tostada. I thought both of them did a great job at integrating the two. Like, I thought this probably was the course with the most focus on what the concept of the restaurant was.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting also at the end when like they did kind of what's funny is it didn't feel like they didn't like sit down together to discuss. It's like they kind of like stood outside in the cold discussing what they each thought of the other team's restaurant.
Yeah, that was, and like, okay, Haley's thirst trap moment of the episode was like Tom leaning against the post. He was like,
I love it when a man leans.
Like,
not gonna lie.
He was like, that was good.
Curt immediately starts leaning.
It wasn't great. I was like, Tom, this is working for me.
Like, did you watch My So-Called Life?
I did not.
Oh my gosh. What?
I don't. Maybe I did. That wasn't the one with my
Claire Danes, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then I don't think I watched that one. You know which one I watched?
You're thinking Dawson's Creek.
No, I'm not thinking Dawson's Creek. I'm thinking of like there was like a high school one and only lasted like 2 seasons.
You're thinking Degrassi High.
No, Degrassi was on for like 45 seasons, and I would never forget.
Saying names of things at this point.
I like this new game called. Oh, you're thinking.
Well, this means nothing.
You're thinking
now,
by the bell.
But Jared Leto's character Jordan Catalano was actually complimented for his leaning by Angela in the show. She was just like, he leans great, just look at him. So that made me think of that. I will say that in terms of the dishes for that first course, Laura's dish looked so effing good. Like, it just looked delicious to me. And I love a green goddess dressing. So please give me that with some cilantro. I feel sorry for the people who have this makes the gene that makes it taste like soap.
I'm not one of those people. I'm fine with cilantro.
I'm not a tartare girly. It's not for me. I don't think texturally I would appreciate it much. But a crab aguachile, you can absolutely sign me up for
I would love that. I thought that Gail's comment about how the melon kind of muddled all the flavors was really interesting. Because you do really want that like kind of like zing almost to an aguachile, but it looked delicious and like very pretty.
And an issue on both these dishes were like the side carb, like the rice cracker and the tostada. Both of them were grody, for lack of a better word.
Everyone with a cracker had like a difficult time this week.
That's life.
Our second course, Sue made rice cakes with salsa verde, Chinese sausage, and pepita, and Manny made miso butter poached shrimp, kimchi jicama, and bok choy. Ooh, the shrimp looks so good. I bet I would eat that
they were
and like
so big.
be so happy.
Yeah, especially if Manny was serving it to me. I mean, miso butter poached shrimp, like that just sounds amazing. I do think that this is one of the dishes that is kind of like emblematic of the thing that the judges had an issue with later,
Totally.
which is that you just take one thing that is from the Mexican like store and put it with one thing that is from the all of Asia, because they didn't like try to round it down. No,
all of Asia.
all of Asia.
Yeah.
And also Mexico.
Yeah.
I will say I was overjoyed. Sorry. Overjoyed.
Nope. I think that's
Joyled. You're overjoyed.
To see that Kwame was back as a guest judge for so many reasons. I love him to death. I would love to eat at his restaurant if I ever had the opportunity. But the thing about him is that he is like the Kendrick Lamar of the kitchen. He is just like an assassin when it comes to some of the things he said. Like,
does
when
he also hate Drake?
At this point, probably. It's a tough time for Drake right now.
Yeah, especially since Kurt's trying to say that Degrassi isn't good.
It's one thing. But when he was just like, this is what I think about when I say that I don't like fusion. I was just like, if someone ethered me like that about my food, I would probably just stop cooking.
Yeah. And Sue also, Sue did something interesting, which is that he like bought a couple elements of this dish, which the judges called him out on. And I appreciate that his team really stood up for him and said, like, he was there for us, like, for everybody. He like was the biggest team player, and like because he made those little bit of sacrifices on his dish, like he was like it elevated the team as a whole. But poor Sue. We didn't hear much from Sue this episode except to be like, I'm buying rice cakes and they're big.
Yeah. Not knowing like which one to buy, and we're gonna buy every rice cake we can find.
We're buying all of the rice cakes for our third course. And you know what? It was just like was throwing me off because I was like, oh yeah, they are waiting a long time for their mains. But it was like there was no dessert, whatever. Anyway, Manny made a beef tenderloin with mole negro, shimeji mushrooms, and black garlic. And the team dish was a pork tenderloin a la tala with charred pineapple, black bean, and onion puree. Damn, both these look delicious.
I think the dish we liked the least, you all worked on. So that was a decision.
They were like big braining this. They're like, if we make a shitty dish all together, they can't send any of us home.
Exactly. That beef tenderloin with
I just broke my headphones. I'm gonna cry. This is like what my week has been like. Talk amongst yourselves. I have to go get a backup pair, okay?
All right.
BRB. We're not cutting this out.
No.
I'm not pausing my video either.
Yeah, I don't blame you. We got things to talk about.
This is yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
My hair looks really good like this, actually, though. Okay.
Yeah.
BRB.
The mole negro looked so good. My gosh.
Yeah, that's probably like my favorite Mexican sauce is a mole negro.
Really?
So I really like. I wanted to try that in so many ways. What I thought was interesting was like I felt like, and I'm kind of distinguishing them between like Gail's squad and Tom's squad in terms of like the two dining groups.
Yeah.
I feel like Gail's squad enjoyed the Mexican Korean fusion place more than Tom's did. It was, and I thought that's why I wish we had more of a meeting of the minds than simply standing outside the restaurants for 2 minutes and talking. Like I felt like I would have liked to have seen more discussion and debate. But
Yeah.
But I can't help but say, like, I was biased. That's the team I wanted to win. Not only because I'm much more of a Mexican and Korean food fan than I am of seafood, and the fact that three of my team were on there. But I wasn't, unlike you, I wasn't on the edge of my seat. I felt like there was more negative commentary, maybe more so from Tom's group, about this team. Also, I thought, and I stand corrected, and maybe I had thought that there was going to be three kitchens of a three.
No, I remember that. I remember being shocked when they explained what it was going to be like, and being like, "Wow, they're not doing Curt's idea." Because I also thought that they were going to be sending two people home this episode.
And I thought that Haley had said that, so I blame it fully on Haley, who's now has a.
What did I do? What are you blaming me for?
I'm blaming you for. I had thought you said there were going to be three teams of three when all you said
that.
Yeah, you did say that.
You did. Oh, I thought I said that.
You said that.
Oh, no, I know I did. I did.
Okay.
I thought you'd said that when all you had said was it's going to be a restaurant awards with 9 people.
Yeah.
And then I guess I had assumed but I had assumed that meant 3 groups of 3. So I was a little surprised that they did this makes me think that the whole ghost player David Murphy, who never came into Last Chance Kitchen, really must have thrown them for a loop, because
I don't think so. I think the fact that both Sue and Kalina were so good threw them for a loop. Like, they weren't intending to bring 2 people back, and that's what threw up the numbers, because they had the museum rented for this week, no matter what.
That's true. I guess what I'm trying to say is I do think that this was a 9-person restaurant wars when it was originally planned to be an 8, because they brought 2 people back and they weren't expected.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we didn't also talk about I like the little flashbacks with Kristen Kish at the beginning, saying Tom was asked her, like, what would you do differently for Restaurant Wars? Have a different team. Close up of Josie.
The show hates Josie.
The show hates Josie. And yeah, and Tom, and then Tom was like, sorry.
Yeah. He's just such a savage about it. He's just like, you turned out fine. Yeah. You're doing okay.
Oh, and then another, if it's not Korean, I think it's Chinese. But another example of fusion I've talked about it before, in the Cosmopolitan Hotel Resort in Vegas, there's a restaurant called China Poblano, which has but there it's actually a little less fusion. I think I've described it as non-fusion, because there's a Chinese kitchen and a Mexican kitchen. They're separate, and most of the menu items are separate. I'd say that maybe 10% of the menu items try to blend them together in some way. But that's another place. If people are in Vegas, check out China Poblano in the Cosmopolitan.
By Jose Andres, I'm seeing. Anything else about this first menu? Or are you guys ready to move on to the second menu?
Let's channel some good vibes. That's all I got.
Yeah, no, we could move on. I mean, I still want some of that mole.
Yeah, the lost in the mole
looks really good. A pork tenderloin with charred pineapple, black beans, and onion puree sounds like a night in the emergency room for me. So I don't think that I will be ordering that at a restaurant because I enjoy life.
I'm a pineapple bitch, and I would take it on anything.
It sounds delicious. I just know that I wouldn't be able to digest it. There's no point in trying.
I do want to take a quick moment for those who are watching the video, that now that my headphones are broken, you really do get the opportunity to see how clean my hair is.
It just looks like you have pink streaks now.
She's now hair flipping every 5 seconds.
If you got it, flaunt it, you know?
I never look this clean for a podcast.
Crazy how the very first sin was a woman who ate. Haley.
Oh boy. Oh. So channel, seafood, vegetable forward concept. And it's just making me mad. Like, I'm thinking about it and it's like making me mad how like loosey-goosey this whole thing was. I don't know who said it, but they made a good point that it was like, this is just like 5 egos who like weren't willing to like give up any space. And what were we talking about when I said I wanted to come back to a point? Does anyone remember?
Nope.
You're asking the wrong panel.
What was that point I made? I don't know. Anyway, like these dishes don't fit together at all for me. I really loved that the cocktail in the first restaurant really kind of like fit in with the theme. It looked like a margarita of some sort. I thought it was interesting that the cocktail here was like a tea cocktail, and then we had another tea dessert, like tea focused dessert. I thought it would have been cool if they really went in with that and did like a high tea that was like a meal. So just like, you know, like a cucumber and cream cheese kind of like deal, or I don't know, like that would have been a fun concept.
Smoked duck or something.
Yeah, like that would have been a more fun concept to explore. Except now this is just like unedited, and I don't like that. Doesn't interest me at all.
That should have been the name of the restaurant.
Yeah, for real though.
Unedited, like channel. You need to change it because I have no idea what it is that you all are talking about. It was really good that there were like a couple people, namely Michelle, who was like, y'all, this doesn't make any sense. Can we talk about how this doesn't make any sense?
Yeah, or like they could have really like gone into like Wisconsin focus, like and still had Dan's like smoked walleye. We could have like had I don't know, like Michelle could have done like a fried perch on like dirty rice. Like I felt like we could have gone further in that, but we just like it makes me not care about this menu at all because of how unfocused that it is. And like I know it's not really fair and doesn't really make sense, but who said it has to make sense?
Your discussion of the tea earlier made me think that they should have done a tea house that serves CBD based products and called it high tea. Huh? Yeah? No? I think
you can have that one, Kurt. It's good. I like it. You can have that one though.
If I was on Restaurant Wars, I would start a restaurant just called Carrot, CARAT, and it's everything is either carrots and gold leaf. And that's like every dish.
That I hate. I'm gonna be honest with you, Kurt. I hate that. But you would have to call it Curt it, like carrot, but like with your name in it instead.
Curt it.
Okay. For the first course, Dan made a smoked walleye with labna, potato cake, and harissa, and Savannah made a shawan mochi with scallop, maitake, and ikura. Like none of this menu spoke to me. If I'm being perfectly honest with everyone, the walleye
sounds pretty good.
It does. It looked like a nice like fish dip, but it just like none of these made sense to me. Like it just did not together, and I just was mad.
It makes sense because, like, you know, when the judges went over to Oksana Bayou, what is it called?
Dos
Bayou. And the first thing, Oksana Bayou.
Oh, that sounds like an America's Next Top Model contestant who went out 7th.
That's a gymnast, right?
She's a figure skater. She won the Olympic gold medal.
I knew that.
She's from Ukraine. Anyway, when Kristen sat down, she immediately like looked around, and looked at the menu and was like, "This makes sense." Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, no such comment could be given to channel.
No, and like I'm sorry to be hitting this point over and over again, but it made me mad. Like it's hard for me to focus on the quality of the dishes because I'm so annoyed with how disjointed everything is. And like, oh, okay, I remember my point now. The fact that we had 3 main course dishes really spoke to the fact that none of them were willing to give up what they wanted to do for the betterment of the team.
Mm.
Like, so for the second course, we have Michelle. She made a fried catfish with dirty rice. We had Danny's New England clam chowder with grilled carrots, Old Bay, clams, and thyme. And we had Savannah's vegan gumbo with zerbs, greens, grilled mushrooms, and kombu.
I might have mistyped that because for some reason I'm associating Amanda with the gumbo, but
oh, it was Amanda.
Yeah, it was
I'm sorry.
Amanda.
I just
so that's a typo on my part.
I was just reading what was there.
Yeah, I know. Give that what I typed.
I think Michelle's dish makes sense here. I don't think the other two do at all. Like, I don't think those are main courses. Like,
you're thinking more so from a course progression standpoint than a theme of the restaurant standpoint?
Both.
Okay.
Because I like the idea of Danny's dish standalone in a different challenge. Like, I feel like it's hard for him to call it a New England clam chowder and be like, here's 4 giant grilled carrots, enjoy. And like, that's not a main dish to me. Like,
not until you add the gold leaf. No.
But also, apparently this man can do ungodly things to carrots. So even if it's not something that you would think right off the bat you'd order at a restaurant, it's probably pretty effing amazing if the judges, went out of their way to be like, I do think that like the plays on these different soups are an interesting concept for a different restaurant.
Yeah. But I even felt like Danny's dish looked clunky. I thought Amanda's dish looked clunky. Like, these are beautiful.
What is a vegan gumbo? Like a vegan gumbo at a seafood restaurant? Why?
The play was the kombu, like the seaweed in it.
I get it.
But it's just, I'd like that again, if we had 4 courses, I think these two would have been good second courses in before a main. But it just I don't know, man. Like, this is just not hitting for me.
It's a really disjointed menu. Like, the food just had to be really good. Because, there were little things wrong with just about every one of the dishes in a way. Like, like Michelle's dish, the catfish looked like it was fried impeccably, like sounds like it was really, really delicious, but like the dirty rice didn't need to be there. Just the sauce and the catfish.
I'm glad it was, though, because it felt like the most composed main dish to me. That I felt like easily is a main dish, easily is on the menu of the concept they're trying to pursue, and actually looked good.
Yeah. I get that walleye had to be pretty damn good.
I mean, it won. Because it represented what they were trying to tell us was their concept. It was the only dish that really stood there and was like, okay, I get it. And I think if they didn't have that dish first, it would have been so lost as to what these people were doing.
It's a problem when you look at the dishes and you get excited about the restaurant they should have belonged to.
Yeah, it's just I love the idea of a veg forward Louisiana kitchen restaurant. That's cool, Creole with all veg or something like that. Or Danny's, where it's classic dishes with a spin, or even the restaurant they told us they were doing, that's a cool idea, but just none of this went together in any way.
Whereas I was excited, just everything soup, just that could be the name.
Yeah, right.
The soup course. Yeah. Soup.
Yeah, I love
soup.
The dinner course is stew, and then dessert is.
You're trying to tell me that those weren't 2 soups? Those desserts,
those were soups.
Yeah, there you go. Soup. We have a soup restaurant. Congrats! Yeah. Enjoy your soup.
Yeah, congrats.
But it just, I'm happy for them, but there was too many cooks in the kitchen on this one. I think it was almost a benefit for the other team to have 4 people.
Yeah,
because it was just less people.
That's very true. Except
for what about my idea?
And they would have gotten more money because the 4 people splitting 40K versus 5 people splitting 40K.
Yeah,
$2K more per person.
That's just the trust math. Everyone gets it.
For our third course, Danny and Amanda made a honey custard with jasmine tea, citrus gelée with buckwheat crumble, and Dan made a maple cremeux with blueberry, pistachio, and caramel. That honey custard was one of the most beautiful dishes I've seen on Top Chef. I thought it was stunning. I love them presenting it in like the coupe glass. And Dan's dessert was there.
I wanted both of these.
Me too. But Dan's dessert was there.
Dan's dessert had blackberries, so don't come after. No, sorry, blueberries. You can
blueberries.
Go after.
They're in season.
The buckwheat crumble didn't look like crumble. It looked like buckwheat mush. What did I say?
Yeah, that doesn't. It didn't look very appetizing. Like that part of the dish kind of made the rest of it not look great to eat. I mean, I really do think that channels should like thank their lucky stars that expoing went so terribly for Oksana Bayul, or else they would have been on the losing side of this particular challenge, because I really like there is no through line whatsoever.
No. In
terms of concept. These are just, they're very interesting dishes, I guess, you know, but for like all on different menus at different restaurants.
Yeah, this restaurant should have been called Flipping the Channel rather than Channel, because like every time you press the button, you're getting something completely different. God, that was a good joke.
I like that one.
Impressed by that.
Yeah.
Dan comes out on top. He gets the win for this episode. And unfortunately, we see Kalina go again here. I think that's the right move. They were having a lot of problems with Expo. Both teams were facing issues with both teams of judges waiting quite a while in the second seating at their restaurants. I thought Danny's move was absolutely genius of like making his own what are they called?
Tickets.
They're his own tickets where you just mark one of each. He can read his own handwriting. I think we'll be seeing that in every Restaurant Wars from here on out.
Yes, can one of the specialty shops they go to be a print shop? That's the question. I thought that's. I think as somebody who likes to approach process and organization in a not dissimilar way to Kalina, I also think that you have to know when you have to work around the process. I almost feel she was maybe a little too like
stuck to her guns about it.
Yes.
Like do it the right way as opposed to do it the right way next time, but I'm going to do this now sort of thing, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, like when she was basically saying, yes, I'm going to fire everything that you tell me to fire, but can you write it down first?
Yeah.
And Laura was like, sure. I guess we have more time. We don't have more time.
I also was worried at one point, I think when Laura was like, fire the judges. And like Kalina was like, okay. And then I thought for sure we were going to get one of those moments where she's like, well, I don't have a ticket. You didn't fire it.
Yeah.
Let's have an argument about this.
Yeah, I think we also learned this in every season. If you're concerned about treating the judges like VIPs versus normal customers, treat them like VIPs.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody's
Always.
a VIP. Yes.
Yeah.
Fair. But the judges are more V.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the
more I guess.
The plebeians at the other tables are not signing your $250,000 check at the end.
Yeah, it's great that you want the judges to be
very noble.
Yes,
it's
very
wrong strategy wise.
Yeah,
that's a great strategy for some other show.
It's a great strategy if you want to lose.
I'll just leave them alone for a while. Yeah. I was like, oh no,
I don't want to bother them.
Don't bother them.
Yeah,
and it went from like not, and this is Michelle. It went from not talking to the like I'm not going to bug them to I'm going to walk by their table and ignore them.
Ignore them completely.
But she was also able to pivot for the second seating of judges, which is something I can really appreciate in a challenge like Restaurant Wars, where you have to like think on your feet and like improve as the evening goes on.
That's very true.
Or like see where the issue was, or like understand that was not the right move and be able to like course correct for later.
I will say that one thing that completely like took me out of the show in the moments that it happened. And I know that we live in 2024 now and everything is sponsored and branded, but like every time there was talk of the award, the reward or whatever, like with the money that you get, they'd be like, using your Chase quick challenge, whatever. And I was just like, can we please stop?
But it's an infinite world of possibilities, which they said many times.
It's like Kristen turned into a different person for a second and went like in to do a commercial and then was like, okay, back to the Top Chef. It's just, I don't like it. Like, we don't have to sponsor everything, you know? The opening of this cloche is sponsored by, you know.
It's like adopt the highway.
Anyways, so that's Dan. He's winning. We don't have immunity anymore. Is that correct?
Yeah,
correct.
That's true.
So it's like, why name a winner? I mean, I get this case, name the winning team because the other team is who's going to send somebody home, right. And the winning team splits the money. And at that point, I was fine. I was like, "Oh, you're really going to go through this bragging rights, I guess, of who won?" Okay, but
yeah, I mean, maybe the winner will have like some impact in like the next episode in the same way that Michelle got to choose her team. I mean, that's fair. So like, let's just throw that in there, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to continue to question the structure of this show.
Curt, did you watch the preview for next week?
I did not.
I think it's going to be an interesting episode. LaTonya, did you watch the preview?
I did.
You usually do.
You can talk about it. I only
because I'm excited to present this to you because it seemed like next week they were going to make it so that both your quickfire dish and your elimination challenge dish would be looked at for who's winning and who's going home.
I will hold judgment until I see the structure because what you just described is a 2-stage elimination challenge.
Yes. Yeah. Basically. Yeah. So I'm interested to see it. I'm really interested to see it. Yeah. There was some other stuff that happened that I thought was interesting too, but I don't.
Also, everybody seemed really loopy or like high. It was like looking at a different cast.
Maybe they did something in Illinois. Because I don't think weed's legal in Wisconsin.
It's not.
Weed's not legal there. Like they're like the cheese curd capital of the world. Like you would think.
As a person who does paralegal work for lawyers that practice in Wisconsin, some of the most arcane laws that you can ever imagine. But one of them is that they're like cops basically just have to be like, there was an odor, like an unmistakable odor, and that gives them the probable cause to like search you or arrest or detain you. And it doesn't matter if you are from another state, like if you're from Illinois and you brought in like a vape pen, it doesn't even matter if it's CBD and not marijuana. You can still be, because you can't distinguish those odors, you can still be caught up because of that. So
interesting. Notes to self.
Yeah, exactly. Wisconsin is a wild place in terms of laws and very Germanic, and very like a lot of laws about like what you can and cannot do with your tractor and like how drunk you can be when you do it, things like that.
Oh no.
That first like 10 miles into Wisconsin on I-94. It's 94 that goes up, right? 90 goes across. Yeah, that first 10 miles in Wisconsin, it's like I'm driving exactly the speed limit. Like,
yeah.
Really? They're that crazy about it?
Especially near the border, people coming in from Illinois,
yes.
There's like tons of cops right there at the border.
Whoa.
They do not mess around, the police in Wisconsin. So please try to keep yourself from being in any situation where they are involved, because they don't care about your rights and their laws are wild.
Do not try to bring cheese back in Illinois. Just from experience, a lot of trouble. I'm kidding.
I was going to say, I feel like you're effing with me on that one, but I can't be sure.
Noted cheese trafficker Curt Clark.
Cheese mule, right here.
Curt, was there a Last Chance Kitchen this week?
There kind of was.
Kinda.
It almost wasn't.
Oh, okay. I wondered because like the Last Chance Kitchen here.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you see?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I thought it was a mistake, if I'm being honest.
Kalina walks into Last Chance Kitchen and announces she's not going to participate for her own mental, emotional well-being.
I mean, good for her. I really do. You know what? I got that vibe when she was like, I did what I wanted to do. Yeah. I like left in a challenge where I'm happy. I came back and I did it. Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. No, I like was like, oh, he just copy and pasted from last week's. Cool. I didn't even like read the dishes or anything.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Kalina did not do a South Indian themed restaurant.
You know what? Good for her. Yeah, I'm happy with it. You know what?
Yeah,
good for her.
And no judgment in my voice. The only thing that surprised me, I think, was Tom didn't know about this. Like Kevin was like, "Did you know about this, chef?" And Tom's like, "No, I didn't." Like, let's pause and think about what we're gonna do now. And so she's like, "Rasika, you feel like cooking?" And she's off to the side, and she's like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, let me just think about how to make this fair." It was the weirdest, as much as I thought last.
Yes, it was wild.
As much as I thought. So what Tom said, and this is me paraphrasing, what I took from what Tom said was that Rasika and Kevin are going to have a cook-off. And basically it was going to be treated like they were in a best 2 of 3. So if Kevin won again, Rasika would be eliminated. If Rasika won, Kevin wouldn't be eliminated. And I think that what would have happened, because Kevin did win, is that they both would have advanced to next week, and it would have been a 3-person Last Chance Kitchen.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So now is Kalina like sitting off at the side?
She was.
No.
I am curious if she's going to be sitting off to the side next week.
Wow.
I'm hoping that she, do what you need to do.
Yeah.
As a Kalina fan, I would love to see her commenting on things from the side when she has no stakes in it.
Yes.
But yeah, so the theme was obviously it was still restaurant war themed, and he kind of served it up, no pun intended, to Kevin and Rasika, saying, because both of them missed restaurant wars, if you had the chance to make your own restaurant, what would the concept be? And Kevin said it would be a French bistro, and Rasika said it would kind of be a Tamil themed Southern Indian restaurant. She sees most of the restaurants that she's seen, especially in the United States, have been more Northern Indian. And so she wanted to put something together that brought like her own heritage into it. And so what they had to do is they each had to develop 2 dishes that would potentially be featured at their concept restaurant, which was a nice, normal challenge for Top Chef.
Yeah.
You know what? They need to just be thrown a curveball before like developing what the challenge is.
I thought they were going to say, okay, Kevin, you have to cook for a South Indian cuisine, and Rasika, you're going to do a French bistro. I swear, I thought that's what Tom was going to do, but it was pretty.
Who knows? Like the circumstances of how we got there were pretty wild as compared to where we ended, which was very tame.
Yeah. So Rasika made the 2 dishes she made were a Mangalore fish curry with string hopper, and Tom described the string hopper as like an South Indian spetzel, because it was like this rice noodle that was extruded, the right word that I'm looking for, where it's kind of like a noodle-y sort of thing. Just it was like done on banana leaf, and it looked like this elephant ear made of rice dough or something. He hadn't had it before. I thought it was tasty. And then her second dish, she actually made a dessert. I thought they had to make they had to make 1 savory dish and one sweet dish.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. She also made a yuzu custard with berber spiced fruits and cashews. She was saying, like, we put cashews in everything. That looked amazing.
Yeah.
Kevin, he made a beef tenderloin with pomme puree, duxelle, vin jaune sauce, and hazelnuts. And then for his sweet dish, this had blackberries in it. It had several kinds of berries. Roasted berries with basil oil, fleur de sel crumble, chantilly mascarpone, and vanilla tuile. And Tom thought both sets of the dishes were really good, but that he thought that Kevin had just edged out Rasika. So Kevin is proceeding. Rasika's like, well, thank you for the second chance. She's like, second to last chance kitchen, I think is what she called it.
It was really funny to see Kevin just get more and more French as he made this meal. By the time they were about to plate and he was like describing things to Tom, they had to use all of the subtitles because he was just like speaking French, basically, given what his dishes were. I will say, I thought that the fact that Rasika ended up making all of the seafood, what is a la minute, and not having it be in the curry itself was a really interesting choice that I was wondering if it was going to come back to bite her, and it did, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And the beef that Kevin made though looked so freaking good. And like that sauce just looked absolutely delicious. I would eat any of those things though, honestly. But I can kind of understand why Kevin won, especially when you take into context that comment that Tom made about the seafood.
Yeah. So, and I think Kevin said like, so how many more of these? More of these do I got to do? And Tom was kind of cagey and was like, yeah, you got a few more to go.
Tom was like, I have no idea what this even is anymore.
Yeah, he's like, we don't have another stew in the background. Like,
right. I came up with this concept, but I didn't really think it through all that much. And now there are all these curveballs and people are quitting. Like, I don't know, maybe 3. Combination of 3 and 5.
Yeah.
3.
Not gonna lie, I respect Kalina for being like, nah,
oh yeah,
not doing that one.
Know your needs.
Yeah, good for her. I have so much respect for that.
Yeah, good for her for recognizing where she was, like mental health wise, and that this competition needed to be over.
Yeah, totally. LaTonya, what did you eat this week?
I had some food here and there.
Good food? Bad food?
Some pretty good food. I'll start with what I had last night. Well, like first dinner. Because you're like out in an atmosphere where everyone like people aren't really eating so much as like just trying to like talk to each other, and there's like drinking involved. So I got to the place early to order food because I hadn't eaten anything all day, and it took forever to finally get the food because someone ordered one of everything on the menu right as we were ordering our food. But we were at this place, Barconia, or what is it? Barcocina? Barcocina? I don't know.
Yeah.
Barcocina. And they do like Mexican food. And I got some firecracker shrimp, which are these charcoal fired shrimp with apple sauce, cilantro, lime sauce. That was really good. And it came with tortillas. So you get like 2 sticks of shrimp with tortillas. So of course, time to make tacos. And then I got the mahi mahi tacos with chipotle aioli, cabbage slaw, and red onion. But I also wanted this mango salsa that I saw they had with one of the other tacos. So I got a side of that as well. And it was pretty good. That I had a shrimp taco from like the table of like unending food. That was also very, very good and very different from the shrimp taco I made from the other thing I ordered, some firecracker shrimp. I had some really good Thai food this week. I got, what is it called? It is the green curry with like coconut milk. But I got it with crispy pork and shrimp added to it, and it was the eggplant curry. So good, like really great eggplant flavor. I also love this place's peanut sauce. They're called Noble Thai for anyone in Chicago. And then I broke down, y'all. Like I'm susceptible to advertising just like everyone else is. So I had Applebee's.
Yay!
It's been a really long time since I've even thought of Applebee's as a place to get food from. But Survivor changed that, thankfully.
It works, man. They're
It changed that and my life.
And your life?
Yeah. Survivor has changed my life.
Oh, I thought you meant Applebee's changed your life.
I had the Bourbon Street mushroom Swiss burger.
You had it. Tell me everything. Was it worth screaming at another person over?
No. I mean, like, I want to get started on the amount of entitlement that one has to have to just be like, if I don't get my burger, I'm gonna verbally destroy you. Like, you have to pick me for this because you don't understand. I eat Applebee's on Wednesdays with my daughter. Okay?
And it's a Wednesday. I need it.
This is what I do. It was like the flavoring. Excuse me. Flavoring of the burger was pretty good. I got like some extra mushrooms added to mine as well. And I got the spinach and artichoke dip.
Hey! Oh no, sorry.
No, you're boneless wings. Very bad.
Never mind. I don't feel validated.
And then the last thing, I had soul food again from Pearl's Place. Only they didn't have the turkey that I normally get. So I got oxtails, but then I also got a smoked ham hock dinner. And it came with some really good, like, fresh tomato and onion diced, like, on top of it. And those were like legit ham hocks. Very good, like pretty big for a restaurant. You know, like a lot of soul food places, they tend to skimp on like the sizes of the meat. But this place, Pearl's Place, their oxtails are always big. They give you like 4 of them. And these ham hocks, they gave us 2 of them, but they were like really, really good, very flavorful. And the onion really just like brought it all together. So yeah, that's a few of the things that I had this week. Very much looking forward to this segment that we do. Like, this is basically my reason for living at this point, is to talk about all of the things that we ate every week.
That's a good time.
Curt?
So there's a local grocery store called Horrocks that I love. I called you a Horrock. They've got
my dad, the inventor of toaster strudels, would be pissed to hear that.
I talked about it before the show. There's several, I think, scattered throughout Michigan. It's like they've got a full bar inside, and this place has like cup holders for your beer in your shopping cart.
What?
Right next to it is an Asian market. So after I did my grocery shopping, I put everything in the car, and I was kind of stocked up on a bunch of random like snacks from the snack food aisle. I've only made it through one thing so far that has looks like a jalapeno on fire yelling something. It was kind of spicy. Surprise. And then next to that was a boba tea place where I got a dragon fruit slushy with pearl with mango bursting boba in it. It was so good. And I saw that they had these Himalayan dumplings there called momo. So kind of like the Himalayan version of your pot sticker or your bao. So I'm probably going to go there tomorrow and get that. And then today, I was just thinking back to last week, how I mentioned that Savannah's dish she made for the baseball challenge, the saganaki dish, and how I said there's this Greek diner literally right outside my place I've not been to in probably 7 months. So I went there for dinner tonight, and I've got to go some saganaki. It comes with a pita to kind of just put it on and eat it. And I also got a gyro, which was very tasty. Lamb gyro. Yes.
Sorry.
And those are the big things. I can't go on. How about you, Haley?
I've had a bit of a week, if I'm being perfectly honest with everyone. And like part of that is like I have not been able to think a thought, and that includes like what to eat. Like the one day for lunch, I had like 3 handfuls of movie theater popcorn and like a pepperoni stick, and was like lunch. But like anything interesting this week I had, last week I made a pesto. I made a homemade pesto, and I made like a pesto pasta salad with it with like bocconcini and cucumber, and that was like really delicious. I even like remade a pasta salad using it again this week and put shrimp on it, and those were even more delicious. I had a fancy toast this week with like ricotta, like whipped ricotta and like fried mushrooms. I also got one of my favorite meals ever, which is mall Chinese food.
Yeah.
My dad was
two combo or 3 combo?
2. Come on, babe. Like my dad was inducted into one of the local sports hall of fames this week, and it took place at the mall. And my dad like knows my affinity for the specific mall Chinese food, and he was like, "Haley, getting mall Chinese food?" I was like, "No, we have dinner planned. Like, we took the sausage out." And it took about like 20 minutes for me to be like, "Hey, Ethan, how do you feel about us getting mall Chinese food? Like, we're here. It's right here." He's like, "Yeah, what were we even thinking? Like, planning dinner? Like, come on." So that was my favorite meal of the week, and I'm trying to see if I could like fit it in again. I shouldn't. I'm not going to.
You should do what you want.
I know.
What did you get from there?
Okay, so I always get the thin noodles. I don't like thick noodles when it comes to like my Chinese food. I don't like a udon noodle.
Okay.
And I like specifically the mall Chinese food noodles because they're always a little drier. I find if I get them from a restaurant, they're a little slimy, and I don't like that. And then what, Kurt? What?
I just have to ask, is it Panda Express?
Yeah.
No, we don't have Panda Express here.
I wasn't sure if they had it.
Okay.
No, it's like I genuinely, gun
one-off?
to my head, could not tell you the name of this restaurant. It is the Chinese food at the mall.
Yeah, that's fair.
I love it so much. And then I get the sweet and sour chicken, and I get the lemon chicken. Ethan gets the sweet and sour chicken and the General Tso's, but this time he got the beef and broccoli along with the General Tso's, and it was pretty good. But okay. It wouldn't go into my rotation. I'll tell you that for free.
I've had beef and broccoli that is amazing, and then I've had beef and broccoli that tastes like beef and broccoli. Like there's no, it's like
there's no melding of flavors.
Yeah,
and I always find it just a little like I'm such a big texture girly that like if anything's mushy, it's like not for me. So it has to be nice and crispy and almost like a little dry. But anyways, I prefer mall Chinese food because it's like we can each get the two meats and a carb for like it comes to like $22. Where if you're ordering Chinese food, it comes to like $60 and you have all of these things but no, mall Chinese food is my favorite kind of Chinese food. What else did I eat? No, go ahead. I don't have anything else to add.
I've been craving Chinese food lately. There's a place that they do both sushi and like your kung pao chicken, like your more traditional American Chinese foods.
They just do all of Asia.
Exactly. And I've not been there in probably again like 8 months, and I keep thinking I need to go there at some point very soon because it's one of those things where I went there frequently during like the latter days of COVID, where their entire like their walk-in vestibule was the pickup zone for the food. Like they had like a table blocking off everything else, and you'd walk up there. The rest of the restaurant was just completely closed down. It was only takeout only. And I remember that I went there for the first time in probably like 10 months. And it was the first time I'd ever walked in and saw that it was a full restaurant, which was completely blew my mind in terms of just the visual impact of it. So I need to get me some Chinese food and soon.
Yeah, honestly, that's really all the exciting things I ate this week. Because again, like I just like was not thinking thoughts. Although my new smoothie hyperfixation has been like an orange and ginger smoothie, which has been really delicious. And if you want that recipe, slide into my DMs and I will send you what I do. Um, but that's been really delicious and a little burny, but I like it. LaTonya, do you have anything else you want to say about your RHAP live experience?
I just want to say thank you all so much for coming and saying hello, and just thank you for listening. Like I never think about I was like, oh, it's gonna be fine, like no one's gonna know me. And Chappelle was like, what are you talking about? People aren't gonna know who you are.
Chappelle is like the best hype man too.
That's very true. And knows how to work a room. But like everyone was just so kind. Like having even some of the reality contestants come up to me and say, like independently, just to say that they enjoy listening. You know, just thank you all so much, because we love doing this. Obviously, I don't think any of us would do this if we hated it. But you never really think about people like listening to you at home and how you kind of, my favorite podcasters, I feel like are part of my life in some way. And so just to think that I get to have the honor of being in you all's lives and like help you through some tough times when those arise, I really appreciate it. And also everyone was very supportive in terms of like, they were like, are you doing okay? Like, everything okay with like work? Are you still looking for a job? I am excited to announce that I don't have anything that is like permanent happening right now, but I will be needing some recommendations from you all in terms of what to eat in Boston, because that is where I will be spending my summer, as I will be teaching at the Harvard debate camp this summer.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
I'm really excited about it. I just found out about it a couple days ago, so last night was a little bit of a celebration of that for me. And having people like get very excited when I told them that news was great. So I really do mean it. Like if you have been to some great places in Boston, I don't care what kind of food it is, please let me know. Like let me know on Twitter what you enjoy and where I can get it. So yeah, I really do just like appreciate and thank you all so much for the biggest self-esteem boost that I've ever gotten in my entire life, and that I desperately needed at this point in my life. And I hope to keep being able to put out like decent content for you all to continue listening to. So thank you so much for that. You can find me talking about things here and at other places. If you want to know what I'm doing, follow me on Twitter at LK Starks. That's where everything ultimately gets posted. But I'm still working on the Sympathizer with Naomi for Silent Podcasts. That show is weird. Robert Downey Jr. is doing a lot of acting. And he
oh yeah, I was like, oh, somebody was just telling me about this, but it was literally you on the podcast last week.
Yeah, he's playing 4 different characters. They all know each other. So that's interesting. And they just had the episode where they did like the scene from the trailer where they are all at like a steakhouse, just kind of like he is the representation of evil white American like forces. So it's been interesting to see what he's done with that. So check that out on Silent Podcasts. Also check out my work on Pop Cultured, which is going to be a part of Brazilian Dragon. I think that I can announce this at this point, but if you missed Versus, it's coming back. I will be doing season 2 of Game of Thrones versus season 2 of House of the Dragon, which I believe drops the 26th of June, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. And then I'm also going to be doing a separate podcast about House of the Dragon season 2 as well over there. So follow for that. And the recap kickback. I've been enjoying my time there back with Mari and Chappelle. Only Chappelle right now because Mari just had a baby girl.
I saw that.
So we talked about challengers because I couldn't just do one podcast about challengers.
I love how much you love challengers.
I love it.
So it's been my like favorite
much.
through line over the last couple of weeks.
I love it so much. I've now done 2 podcasts about it. If anyone asks me to do a third, I will happily hop on. But yeah, Chappelle and I had a lot of fun breaking that movie down, trying to talk in a way that didn't make us seem like 12-year-olds about masturbation, which apparently we are not good at doing. Like we were both just like flushed and giggling for about 15 minutes trying to talk about masturbation because it's an important part of the movie. So just tune in for that alone. And then follow me on Twitter at LK Starks. Send me your Boston food recommendations. Thank you for listening.
Looking at you, Mel got served.
There you go. Thank you for listening to us. We love you.
Curt, where can people find you on the internet if you want to be found on the internet?
Well, you can follow along in my gossip podcast, Curdy Little Secrets. This is what I do. You can really, the only place to follow me is at Curt Clark. Sorry, were you drinking when I said that, LaTonya?
Yeah.
Apologize.
Okay. I managed to not do a spit take of mango smoothie all over this camera.
Mango dragon fruit, though, high recommend. Follow me at Curt Clark with 2 C's on Instagram. It's
one
primarily
one part way through.
Yes.
Just throw those C's in wherever you want. You know,
food, books, and escape rooms are really everything I think that are on there. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's Curt in a nutshell.
Do not follow me on TikTok. How about you, Haley?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @strong_, and check out everything I am reading over at my Bookstagram account at the Strong Library. Curt, you've read a lot of books lately. If you had to recommend one to me, what would it be?
Will you remember get the title right this time?
Nope. Will not promise that.
There's actually a series of books I've really liked. Well, there's a book I recommended several years ago called The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle.
And that's not The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo for those listening.
2 very different books. I recommended one of them. I did not recommend the other, despite what Haley said in her feed. So that's probably still my go-to. But there's a series called, I think that's the Classified Dossiers. It's 3 books in the series: Sherlock Holmes and Count Dracula, Sherlock Holmes and Mr. Hyde, and Sherlock Holmes and Dorian Gray. They all take place in Victorian England and are kind of a mash-up of novels that take place during that time. So, like in the 3rd book, you have Holmes and Watson and Dracula and Edward Hyde from Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and Dorian Gray, as well as like other books that they've pulled in from that take place. Like you're looking at, you don't be surprised if someone from Charles Dickens or Jules Verne or H.G. Wells shows up in there as well. It's kind of, I'd say, Victorian thriller, maybe a little bit of fantasy thrown in, but a little bit of mystery. I don't know. It's one of those things where like every time I believe the last name of the author is Klaver, Klaver. I could be getting that wrong. But anyway, go to my Instagram. You'll see that it's one of the, I think 3 books ago is when I finished it, 3 or 4.
Yeah, I just saved it to my saved file, my saved tab.
Read the first one. I just finished the 3rd one.
I can't. You're not going to ask me for a book recommendation, Haley?
LaTonya, what book should I read?
Okay, so there's this little known pop star named Brittany Lynn Spears.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you all have ever heard of her.
I know her sister.
Yeah. Well, they were like very big in the 90s, like early 2000s, became like a global pop phenomenon, and had some struggles along the way, honestly. Struggled with eating, struggled with mental illness, struggled with having a terrible boyfriend whose name will not be named, Tustin Pembroke.
I was not sure what you were going to talk about.
Exactly. That was her terrible husband, Kevin Federline. But yeah, it's called The Woman in Me, and it's all about how she was able to pick herself up and dust herself off after a long conservatorship, which some question whether or not it should still be in existence. Yeah. There's also a book called Spare. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. His name is Prince Harry.
You know what? I do have Brittany's on my Kindle, and I do have a hard copy of Spare kicking around because my mother gave it to me.
There you go. I don't read a lot. Can you tell? I'm just like, I try to make myself read more. It never works.
Listen, it's not for everyone, and that's okay. You don't have to be a reader. Okay. I just had no friends as a child, so I had to read books.
I had friends, but I was an only child.
Oh yeah. See, no, you know what mine is that my brother was a very talented baseball player. So we spent most of the summers up and down the Eastern Seaboard with his baseball. And so I would have to do something because phones didn't exist in that day, like not cell phones where I could like tip tap tap. Yeah. So I had to I read at these baseball games. So
that's very cute.
Is it, or is it?
No, it's like whenever I think of a young woman like reading through life, you know, I always think of Belle from Beauty and the Beast.
That was always my dream, except I was not that hot. But I did really want a library ladder. And I will say that the reading has like really ingrained itself into me. There was this series I read when I was younger. It was called The Amazing Days of Abby Hayes. And like one of her personality traits was she only wrote with a purple pen. And I was like, that's cool. I still, to this day, over 20 years later, only write with a purple pen.
Nice. Living your dreams.
So anyway, yeah, I guess that's it. Until next time, you can pack up your knives and go. Bye.